Before we get into REC and REC's unique offerings and technology, I wanted to take this opportunity, George, to talk to someone who's been in this industry for close to 2 decades, plus or minus, and who's been deeply in the technical aspects of solar modules. Maybe talk a little bit about the evolution of solar panels over the past decades.
Yeah,
Uh, can you give
absolutely.
us a primer on that? I
Yeah,
remember going as far back as 2009. There were thin film companies like First Solar, and there were multi-crystalline options like many of the other companies in the market, like REC and Qcells and Canadian Solar. And I know the basic differences between them, efficiency-wise and price-wise, but so much has evolved since those days. So maybe can you give us
yeah,
categorically how these things have evolved and where we are in history? And
yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
obviously the Swanson effect is in full force in effect right now. Prices keep coming down, and
Yeah.
panel prices have gotten what, probably 7 to 10 times cheaper in the last 14 years or 15 years that I've been following. So yeah, let's dive into that
Yeah.
a little bit.
There's been so yes, it's been very interesting because I've got to witness an incredible evolution of an industry. If I think back when I first started, we were doing 5-inch wafers. We were our big goal was, do we make a 50 cell or a 60 cell module? We didn't even know. And that was 2004 timeframe. But we were excited because we were making a 135 watt panel, 60 cell, 135 watts. We were spiking the football. We had
Yeah.
done it. So this all starts. So there's a couple of different things that you look at. There's the technology, and then there's the format. So one is there's cell technology, and then how are you gathering? So the cell is going to be where you're gathering your charge, but then how are you gathering that charge is there's a couple of differences there. So we've gone from, you mentioned earlier, so we've gone from polycrystalline to, with the monocrystalline, we've moved. So the polycrystalline took us up to about 18, 19% cell efficiency. And then what you do is you just run out of, you can't, you take the material system as far as you can go. Now you've run out of headroom. You have to change that material system. So what do? So you jump up to the next technology, which is mono, and you've got P mono and N mono, and that gave us a good jump up to 23, 24%.
That jump happened circa, which years are we talking?
So the moves to mono were, so that was 18. So the industry was still trying to work. So you work as long as you have to stay as long as you can on your current material system, because nobody likes change, especially in the process areas. So you're driving a lot on poly. You start doing some tricks with poly, things like doing some backside coating. So your PERC came in on poly cells. About 2016, 2017, the industry really started to push into monocrystalline. So now you've got monocrystalline, which gives you better efficiencies. But if you press the poly, if you do all of your tricks on the poly, you can get close to that monocrystalline efficiencies. So that's why you were seeing things like the big push was going from up to a 300 watt module. So REC was making a 290 watt module with poly PERC or poly cells with a PERC background, but the industry had shifted up to, oh, we need 300 watts. There's always these little, I mentioned earlier, 135 watts. Yay, that's great. But there's always these imaginary lines that you have to cross to get acceptance in the industry. So there was this talks about it there. So yeah, we're in the second section there where the 20 to 22%. So you're going into P poly, P mono, but so we made a poly PERC product, which got us up close to 300 watts for our modules, but we just couldn't get over that 300 watts. So then, to get up there, you have to move to a newer type of mono. And that's when you move to N mono, So this is moving into N-mono, started happening a lot in the industry, 2020 timeframe. And then the whole industry is really pressing towards that. Along with N-mono, so there was standard N-mono PERT, but then they introduced TOPCon a couple of years ago, as well as HJT. And so that takes us up to kind of where we are currently. There is a very big push on getting everything we can out of these N-mono platforms, TOPCon and HJT, because the next level of technology is introducing tandem junction and perovskites and things like that, which will change. So those are notoriously difficult to work with. Difficult means expensive. And as you mentioned earlier, the prices for solar modules are just going down. So nobody wants them to go up, but everybody wants more power.
On that note, I'm going to plug in our Solar Academy charts section here and show the first chart we put in the chart section is the Swanson effect.
Yeah. Holy cow.
There it is. 1977 price of $76 per watt. This is the cell pricing, which is now, this chart is only to 2013 at 74 cents, which is now probably in the 20 cents, if not, depending on the market, plus or minus probably. But yeah, that's at the cell pricing, of course, not the final product, but still incredible, hundreds of times cheaper. So I'll take that away now. Yeah.
So nobody wants anything to get more expensive, but everybody wants more power and wants everything to stay exactly the same. Now, the interesting piece about this evolution, as I mentioned, is not just about the technology, but it's your current gathering and your cell architecture has also played a big piece into this. So in 2014-15 timeframe, half-cut cells were introduced by REC. And the reason you do half-cut cells is to reduce your resistive losses. Your resistive losses come down as the square.
Do you have a slide on that over here? Should I pull anything? No.
Don't have any of the half-cut cell stuff because that was this is just saying that the timing of all of this also coincided with technology changes. So you've got not only you're introducing N-mono and P-mono, but then you're doing half-cut cells. You started increasing the amount of bus bars that run on the front side of your cells. You started doing your backside passivation. So there's a lot of things that are going on, not only just cell technology or not just material systems technology. And all of this is in response to the customer's insatiable demand for more watts peak at STC. So all of these things combined are driving up cell efficiency, but also module efficiency and driving up your peak power of these panels. Right now we're up in the 470 watt is what our current residential offering is, which is just I think about what we've started out with, and it's just amazing.
Is that the same format in terms of height and width or length and width?
That's
like the good old early 2010s. I remember like we had 200 watt panels, or 225 was kind of like the biggest wattage back then.
So the interesting piece is solar panels have always been rectangular in a kind of pretty much a 1:2 aspect ratio. And from about 2010 to about 2016, we were so close to standardizing. We had 60 cell panels, we had 72 cell panels, and that was it. And they were all 990 wide, 990 millimeters wide by 1776. Everything was within a couple of millimeters. It was so great.
I remember.
That's one of the things that I really could not understand in this industry when I moved to it. There's no standardization. And if you go back to how did computers get so cheap? The very first computers I bought my daughters were $5,000. And they were, it wasn't so. And that was back in 1998 timeframe, so 1996 timeframe. So how did we get cheaper to where you've got these fantastic computers for $600? It's all about standardization. So volume and standardization. But here everyone's just a little bit different.